It is Thursday, which means it's time for another video. I'm almost done with this little series that I'm doing, which is the top 5 horror films of every year of the 1980s. I am currently on 1988. I do have another list again, so I know, like, I don't fuck anything up and I don't forget to mention any honorable mentions, but I'm not gonna keep talking. I'm gonna go on with the list, and my number 5 is Night of the Demons, which is a fun 80s horror film. I feel like I say that a lot. Everything's like fun. I like that this like little like movie ended up making 2 sequels and a remake, which honestly they're all good. Like, it's one of those few instances where all the movies are good. The remake isn't the best, obviously, because it's a remake, but still a fun movie. But the first one is where it's at. Angela is great. The tagline is funny because it's like something about Angela is inviting you to a party. Jason and Freddy are too scared to come, but it'll be one hell of a time, which is like so freaking weird. But great film, Night of the Demons, number 5. My number 4 is not a horror movie per se, but it's more a comedy, like a comedy horror, and that is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. This is actually going to be a little bit higher on the list, but there are 3 other movies, obviously, that kind of passed it a little bit. What is not to say about Killer Clowns from Outer Space? It's like the classic B horror film. When you think of like B movies, this is like a number 1. It's goofy as all hell. The theme song, the Killer Clowns theme, like the Killer Clown March is great. The song by the band The Dickies is awesome. Like, it is a fun like rock like tune mixed with a circus theme. The clowns are not your typical looking clowns. They're very like, because it's obviously people in costumes, and my favorite clown is Fatso, which I absolutely love Fatso. I like all of them, but Fatso is my all-time favorite killer clown. This is one that my fiance and I end up watching a lot. If we are having a hard time figuring out something to watch, we're just like, put Killer Clowns from Outer Space in, and yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. Fun film, go check it out. I think it's still on Netflix, but it's pretty cheap to I think it's on YouTube for free, too, with ads. So, go check it out. If you haven't, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, number 4. Now, my number 3 is a sequel, which a lot of these are sequels. But, my number 3 is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. And this is one that I didn't really like that much when I was younger. Like, it wasn't in my top 5. But this one is in my top 5 now. It's my number 5. I absolutely love this film. I love Michael Myers. Sure, the mask looks really fucking terrible, but honestly, the mask I have here is a Trick or Treat Studios mask. I think it's bad lighting, but I honestly think it looks better than the actual movie mask. They did a pretty good job with that. But Michael Myers is menacing in this. He's more like, the kills he does is more like unrealistic in a way, but makes him scarier. Like, one of the most famous Michael Myers kills is when he takes the shotgun and stabs the girl like pins her against the wall with the shotgun, which is so unrealistic, but it's so awesome. And this movie is a great like follow-up to Halloween 1 and 2. I know there's like this is like the beginning of the Thorn trilogy, 4, 5, 6, and then they kind of redid it with the Halloween H2O. They forgot about this film, and it's a shame because I like this. I like all the other films too, mostly all of them except for Resurrection, but I feel like it's so weird with the timelines. Like, it should just be one separate thing, but they're all good movies in their own right. But yeah, it's my number 3, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. This also starts. This is like the beginning of Danielle Harris as like the Scream Queen. So just to point that out, even though you guys already knew that. But yeah. All right, now my number 2 is a movie that is, I think it was produced by Universal, Universal pumped it out. So it was like a different, like, it probably had the best effects in all the films, and that is Phantasm 2. Definitely feels a bigger budget in this, and it's just, I wouldn't say it's better than the first one, because the first one, like, the original Phantasm is a classic. Like, it's a classic film, but this is still a great film. Like, it is, like fun. Reggie's back. The only thing that sucks is that the kid who played Mike in the original is played by a different kid in this, which is a shame, because A. Michael Baldwin, he's a great actor. He went on to play Mike in Phantasm 3, 4, and then Phantasm Ravager, the 5th one. So, but it's kind of weird not seeing him in this, but it's still a great film. This is usually, from what I've heard, this is usually people's favorite Phantasm film. Personally, mine is Phantasm 3, but this is definitely up there. This is another series where, like, all of the movies are decent. Like, they're not terrible. So, I mean, Ravager's a little weird at times, but they're, like, still not a terrible film. But Phantasm 2 is definitely, it definitely deserves to be on a top 5 favorite horror films of 1988. So this might be in somebody's top 10 of all time of the 80s. So I don't really know. But yeah, that's my number 2, Phantasm 2. That's funny. I did not intentionally do that either. It just kind of happened. But before I go on to my number 1, I'd like to mention some honorable mentions. Ones that, obviously, since they're honorable mentions, these are ones that they didn't quite make the list. And the first one is Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. This is the beginning of Kane Hodder as Jason. He went on to play Jason in this one, the 8th one, the 9th one, and then Jason X. So this kind of started his career, even though he was doing stuff prior, but this kind of what jump-started his career into horror movies, basically. And if it wasn't for this, we wouldn't have Kane Hodder as Victor Crowley, or Kane Hodder doing motion capture for Friday the 13th, the game, and all that. So, yeah, that's one of my honorable mentions. The next one is Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. I mentioned in my previous video about Hellraiser how this is a great film as well. So I figured I'd mention Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, because this is such a, like, beautiful film. I love the score. It's just an all-around great sequel, and sometimes you don't come across sequels that are that great. Another one is a film by a Dutch director named Dick Maas. He also did a film called The Lift. This is Amsterdam, which you're probably wondering, why is that one of your honorable mentions? I absolutely love this film. It's such a weird, like, concept, like a killer killing people in a, like, just like underwater and stuff, and he's wearing a scuba diving suit, and I love it. It's one that I can watch like so many times and not get tired of, which I did not like The Lift that I just mentioned that Dick Maas directed. I did not like The Lift at all, so but this is a fun film. So Amsterdam. Another one is Return of the Living Dead Part 2. Not as good as the original Return of the Living Dead, but still fun. Tarman makes an appearance in this. Not as good as the original. This kind of one of those instances where it's not as good. It's a sequel that's not as good as the original, but they still try. And the funny thing is, Tom Matthews is in this from Friday the 13th Part 6 and the first Return of the Living Dead. And then the other guy from Return of the Living Dead, he's also in this. And then Suzanne Snyder, who I just mentioned in she was in Killer Clowns from Outer Space that I just mentioned. She's in this. She's like the love interest. It's kind of weird Tom Matthews is in this again. He's playing a different character, but who also gets infected again. I don't understand that, but it's still a fun film. If you watch my videos regularly, one of my intro songs is a song called Flesh to Flesh that is from the soundtrack of Return of the Living Dead Part 2. So that's a fun song. This is just a great film. But my last honorable mention is a film by, I think it's it's definitely it's Umberto Lenzi. I probably butcher that, but also he did Cannibal Ferox, but this is Ghost House, which the reason I put it on, I like this film. Don't get me wrong, it's still a good film, but and there's a cook. The reason I put it on my in my honorable mentions is because the first time I ever watched this was with my fiance, and there's like a song playing in the film. There's like a clown doll, and it's like we had no idea what the fuck they were saying, so we would just go we schnee, we schnoo, we schna, and we just every time. Now when we go on like Tubi, because that's when we first watched it, was on Tubi TV. Every time we come across it, we keep doing that, so it's kind of like an inside joke to us. But it's, like I said, it's still a good movie. It's like a typical haunted house movie. It's just like I said, a haunted house movie. Italian horror, which is great, as a plus for me. I love Italian horror. But yeah, that's it for my honorable mentions. That's probably the most honorable mentions I've had in a top 5. But on to my number 1. This might surprise a lot of people, but my number 1 is The Blob. Let me tell you, there were a bunch of movies from 1988 that I wanted to put. I didn't want to make the list the honorable mention list too long, but The Blob is a great film. Like, one of my favorite horror remakes of all time. I just love the special effects. I love the look of the Blob. He's just like, because I've seen the original Blob, and it's good for like if 1950s like sci-fi horror type movie. Like, that's kind of like what those movies were back then. But to me, the remake is like 1,000 times better. And I've heard, I know it's not happening, but I remember hearing that like a while ago, Rob Zombie wanted to direct this. I don't really know how that would be. I mean, I personally like Rob Zombie films for the most part. So, but they should just stick with this movie. Like, they shouldn't remake this. This is a perfect remake. This is an example of a remake that modernizes. It's not shot for shot like the original. I mean, you do have the two heroes trying to save everybody from the Blob, which the Blob is frightening in this. Like, I remember when I was younger seeing this film, one of the scariest scenes to me was when the girl was in the phone booth and she's trapped by the Blob, and you see like the body parts in the Blob coming up close to the glass of the phone booth, and then she's like trying to keep the Blob out from killing her, and then all of a sudden the Blob breaks the fucking phone booth and sucks her in. And I always thought that was scary. Like, claustrophobic scenes like that always still, they kind of get to me. Like, some scenes, like claustrophobic scenes, they definitely get to me. Not a lot gets to me. But that's my number 1, The Blob from 1988. This also starred pre-Saw, obviously, Shawnee Smith, which is like crazy. See her and something, and then she's like one of the main antagonists in like the beginning of the Saw franchise, and she's like throughout the whole Saw series as Amanda. But yeah, that's my number 1, The Blob. Totally going off topic there, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned, where I will be doing on stay tuned, because on Monday I will be doing my final top 5 of the 1980s, which is my top 5 horror films of 1989. If there's if any films that you guys like from 1988 that I didn't mention, comment down below on this video. Let me know what some of your favorites are. But like I said, in the meantime, I'll see you guys on Monday.